Hey everybody, this is Mr. Vaisaki on this Tuesday morning. Today, for this little video, I want to make sure I go over all of the topics I've posted so far in Google Classroom, and then also talk about the topic for today's recommended reading and writing. Now, so far, as I've been posting these topics to Classroom, we have gone over routines, collaboration, the importance of daily work, and then finally, to wrap up last week, we talked about why it's so important to be creative, but at the very least, to create something, regardless of artistic merit, in your own lives. For this week so far, starting off with yesterday, we talked about why it is so important to celebrate aspects of our lives. And today, we're talking about confessions. Now, when we think about a confession, we all have them. We all engage in confessions at some point in our lives. Confessions are so important that we have confessional poets, like the ones provided Anne Sexton, Elizabeth Bishop, and then finally Robert Lowell. I'll talk about their poetry a little bit more at the end, but you want to remember and keep in mind as we move on from today, we all have confessions. They're so important. We have confessional poets. And as a result, we have poems that are confessional poems. Now, by itself, a confession, it's that moment in your life where you're honest about the way you feel, about the way that you think, and about the way you view your role in the world and what you want that role to be. So, confessions, they can be major events in our lives, or they can be minor realizations that we have as we go through our daily lives. Let's say, for an example, that it's a Sunday evening. You might confess to yourself in a moment of honesty, you know what? I was raised by my parents to be a fan of the Green Bay Packers, but in my heart of hearts, I must confess that I love the Chicago Bears. Now, sports teams aside, you can have these minor confessions about, let's say, the food that you like or dislike. Maybe you have a confession about the movies or TV shows that you like or you dislike watching. And then thinking about sports, all teams aside, maybe you have a confession about even not liking sports. And that's okay. Now, confessions, they can be a major part of our lives. They can be moments that are very private, where we come to a self-actualization about what makes us happy and what makes us fulfilled. We can share these confessions with the people that we value, or as we become more comfortable with these new identities, the community that you live in. So imagine this situation with me. You've gone through school. You've graduated. You've got that diploma, your degree, maybe your certification for that first full-time job. But as you go through that first year of that first job out of college, maybe you're thinking to yourself, for a first job, I'm not sure if I'm crazy about this. But you might be thinking to yourself, even if I don't love this job, I'm still getting a salary, I still have health insurance benefits, and it's making me able to provide for the people that I love and the people that I care about. That could be a major confession that I think is oh so common, especially for young people as they start making their way out into the world. Now you can see some of those thoughts and a little bit more in my own writing sample, but I encourage you, take a look at the poetry recommended and linked on the assignment. Take a look at Her Kind by Anne Sexton. This is a poem where the poet, Anne Sexton, talks about a confessional moment where she realizes she just doesn't feel exactly like how every other woman looks, at least to her perception. We can also take a look at One Art by Elizabeth Bishop. Now, Elizabeth Bishop, in her poem One Art, she does such a good job of taking this big moment of the human condition, what it means to be alive, and she puts it down in a few lines of poetry. Not to give too much away, but this confessional moment about losing and how it might be so frustrating, but it's the honest truth that it is the easiest art to master. And finally, everybody, take a look at July in Washington by Robert Lowell. This poem is important because it's a confessional moment where we might confess that we don't want things to end. If we have something good, we want more of a good thing. If we have somebody we care about, we want to spend as much time with them as possible. So even if we can't remember every single thing about what we value in our lives, it could be a confession that we don't want them to go away. Now, when we think about today, spend some time writing, either in your own personal journal or take a look at this prompt or any of the others you might not have gotten to. Take a look at the poems. Take a look at Anne Sexton, Elizabeth Bishop, and Robert Lowell for today. And if you have a moment, take a listen to the song Midnight Confession by the Grass Seeds. It's very thematic. I think it sounds great. And if you talk about it with your parents or guardians, maybe they listen to it as well. So have a good day. If you need anything, reach out to me. We could talk through email. We can schedule a time for a Google Hangout so we can talk face to face through the webcam. But more than anything, I hope you're doing well. I hope you feel safe. And if there's anything you need, please feel free to reach out.